I found my wife's secret board tracking our neighbor's affairs. She added me to it when I confronted her. She planted evidence to frame our neighbor in the fact of pregnancy. We're both in our late 30s and live in a typical suburban neighborhood where we all know each other. My wife has always loved trashy movies and shows about infidelities. She's into trashy movies and shows about infidelities. She also loves true crime about spouses killing their cheating partners. She just says something about it makes her morbidly fascinated, in her words. Well, a couple of months back, we had a scandal in our neighborhood where a married couple divorced. It wasn't a murder case, but my wife became obsessed with learning every detail from every neighbor, no matter the occasion. She would bring it up, hoping there would be any new information. A month later, I stumbled on the board in. I was doing some cleaning and I found a massive bulletin board facing away, leaning up against the wall. I turned it around to find a conspiracy board of all our neighbors, with pictures with lines of yarn connecting each other, like the Pepe Sylvia meme. I was a bit confused and asked where this was. She told me it was a hobby she'd started recently where she tracked rumors or likely candidates for cheating. On the board, the yarn represented who was possibly cheating with whom. She'd clearly got all the images from Facebook or some social media. She had also created a media file and printed it out, even adding a few sticky notes with details. I told her this was a bit creepy and insane, but she said maybe if I was doing it as a man. She added that she is just having harmless fun as a hobby and that she wouldn't be crazy and try to oust anyone based on rumors. She just likes feeling like a detective. She suggested I view it like a creative art piece. I was still pretty weirded out, but I let it go. I thought about it a lot, every now and then. Well, every now and then, I admit I checked the board when cleaning. But just a couple of days ago, I looked to see that now I was on the board with a yarn attached to a neighbor's wife. I asked her why she added me if she thought I was cheating. She said it was a different color for potential matches for cheating. She said she was planning on adding herself to the board soon. I got angry and told her off. I told her to get rid of the board or our marriage will be in trouble. Things have been pretty rocky since. I'm sorry for the long post. I'm starting to feel bad, and it hit me more than usual this morning. Should I apologize to her? Before you ask, no, I don't suspect her of cheating. Honestly, I wish she was because it makes more sense than this. Ada. Update, September 1st 5th, 2024. I thought we were good. 2 days later, our neighbor, who is happily married, finds a woman's bra under the bed that does not belong to her. It doesn't take long for the whole neighborhood to find out. My wife is over the moon. Joy. She showed me the board, which she still hadn't got rid of like she said she would. It was different from the last time I saw it before the latest scandal. Instead of the yarn connecting to another neighbor, the cheating husband's yarn was connected to a post-it with a question mark. There was only one question mark there, and I swore it wasn't there the last time I saw the board. So either she changed it after the cheating, to prove a point, or slightly before it happened, which made me even more suspicious. Either way, now I felt like I was the detective, and I was going crazy. I went over to the cheating husbands to ask a few questions. The wife was staying at her parents', so it was just the two of us. I asked him if he actually did it and he said no, he would never. Then I asked if my wife had been over recently. He said, one day while you were at work, his wife asked her to water a plant they had while they were both away, and told her where the key was, so yes, I immediately raised an eyebrow. I asked if he still had the bra, and I was getting pretty nervous, so I told him not to worry. But he still had the bra, and I looked at it. It was my wife's, but one I knew she almost never wore because it was from a lingerie set I bought her one Christmas. She said it was uncomfortable. I told my neighbor I needed to talk to my wife and ran out. I told him not to worry. I went over to my wife and showed her the bra. I asked her what was going on. She played dumb, but I told her to cut the BS. I asked if she had either cheated on me with him or planted it there. Either way, she was in trouble. She confessed to planning the bra and said it was to make me admit her hobby. I was pretty mad at her. I said this was worse than her cheating on me because instead of just ruining our marriage, she ruined our neighbors and ours. I told her she had to call the wife and admit to everything, even sending pictures of the board. I even showed her the Reddit post, which helped convince her. My wife had planted it rather than cheated with her husband. Well, they made up, but now I have no idea what to do. I am barely speaking to my wife, and it is only a matter of time before the entire neighborhood figures this out. I seriously need advice. Update, November 2nd, 2024. Sorry, I've been tied up with other things. To give you the short version, my wife is in a mental health facility after what happened previously. I didn't speak to my wife for a while and tried to stay at work or out of the house as often as I could. Well, a few weeks passed and it seemed like less and less of a big deal. Finally, my wife she offered to take me out for a nice dinner to make things up to me. She told me that she was moving on from what had happened and that she had started online therapy to get help and realize what she did was wrong. I really believed her and we had a great night. One thing led to another that night. End of story. Yay, lol. It took about 2 days after that for her to get a pregnancy test, and she texted me the positive result. I know some of you already think I'm a fucking moron, but it had been a rough year, and this made me really happy. I started getting very excited. We started talking about turning my home office into a baby room. We were looking at ways to prepare for the baby, booking appointments, and planning a shower. It was a really fun, whirlwind week. Unfortunately, she told me the first ultrasound was at a time I had to be at work and she would have to go alone, which really bummed me out. I asked her to reschedule, but she said it was the only I was waiting for an update or pictures or anything that week, but she didn't send any. She came home and was really quiet, so I got worried that something had gone wrong. I told her I understood she was probably in a lot of pain, but she had to tell me. She said it wasn't a miscarriage, but she'd been pregnant longer than she thought. Longer than the last time we did it. She got pregnant during the time I was avoiding her. I was really mad and upset. I couldn't understand why she would do this to me. But then I realized all the signs. We'd been together for so long and all those comments I'd heard about her being unfaithful were right. But I tried to keep a clear head for at least a second because I really love my wife. I couldn't believe it. I asked her who it could have been and she actually said she didn't know. She said she hadn't done it with anyone. While I was avoiding her, she swore it and also didn't know what it meant. I thought about it and realized that if she was really pregnant for that long, her tummy should be showing and it wasn't. I decided to call the place and ask them to confirm what they said. My wife told me it would be a waste if she said she'd heard them clearly, so I didn't do it that night. But I couldn't sleep without hearing it from the doctors myself. I called the clinic. She told me she'd gone the day before in the morning and asked them to confirm the results. They told me something worse than I expected. I didn't go to the clinic. She was never there. I didn't understand that at all. Before I talked to my wife again, I did what I should have done in the first place. I reverse image searched the pregnancy test image. Yet I was on Google from a random year-old Facebook post. I was really mad at my wife and couldn't believe I told her I'd done all that and also called the clinic, which turned out to be a false alarm. I said I'd caught her lying and that I thought our relationship was over. She started crying and got really upset, which I didn't expect. Then she said that she really had cheated on me and really was pregnant. She said that I had made this up in my head because I couldn't face what she did to me. She said she felt like the devil in Hitler and started sobbing and screaming at the top of her lungs. She locked herself in the bathroom and told me she was. She said she was going to kill herself because of what she'd done to me. I couldn't get the door open and I was really freaked out. I called the cops and they broke the door down. She wasn't hurt, but she was really out of it. They took her to get a mental evaluation and she told them everything. She even started mixing in stuff about the board. She also said that she knew everyone around her was a cheater, so she had done the same thing because she was in an evil place. She promised them she was pregnant, but she didn't know who the father was. They tested her while she was in custody, and there was no pregnancy. They told me she was likely suffering from a form of schizophrenia. I genuinely believe that she was saying this and likely always had to some extent, but it seemed to be getting worse. They said she had a symptom called self-accusation and needed help, while I got her into a facility last week and she is safe. They are making a little progress. I do not think she thinks she is pregnant anymore. I've visited a few times, but she's very withdrawn with me and says she feels too guilty to look me in the eye. I think there was meddling at certain points, like planting evidence, but now I just feel terrible. I didn't get her the help she needed when all the real signs were there. I hope once she starts taking the medication, she should be back to her normal self. I'm sure the neighborhood gossip will have a field day with all this. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope this is my last update. Thanks for all the help. Next story. I'm a nanny for a kid who acts like a baby, sleeps with his parents and spies on me through my I thought it was cultural, but this behavior is really starting to creep me out. I'm from the US and I recently moved to Italy to nanny. I think it's important to share this because so far I haven't been able to tell if I'm struggling with a cultural difference here in Italy or if I actually have reason to be weirded out. It is easy to I should mention that Dario is in middle school. He's already several inches taller than me and his mom, and is maybe 30 pounds on me. When I first got here, some of the stuff that freaked me out a little I could handle. I chalked it up to being an Italy thing. This includes stuff like talking almost exclusively in a baby voice when addressing his parents. He speaks to his parents in a baby voice, calls them mummy and daddy, and has physical fights with his little sister over who gets to sit on their laps. This happens several times a day. He also fights with his sister over who gets to sleep with the parents. He gets upset when mom or dad leave. He also likes to complain about not getting enough kisses or time with his parents. He often lies in bed and kisses his mom, and he likes his parents to blow on his food when it's hot. I don't want to be critical of this, but I can't imagine a 7th grade boy in the US behaving like this. I'm not used to seeing this kind of behavior, and it hasn't affected me before, so I just let it be. The problem is that now I'm starting to get involved, and it's making me really uncomfortable. For example, our rooms have adjacent windows, which allows the kids to see into my entire room at all. I feel like this is a bit inappropriate. What can I do when I need to change clothes? I don't want to seem like I'm sexualizing children or accusing them of anything, so I just asked for curtains and started changing in the bathroom. After weeks without curtains, the family finally they promised me that someone was coming to put them up, but he only put them in the kids' room. Ever since then, I've noticed Dario peeping through the curtains at me multiple times a day. I'm sure he's just checking on me or curious about what I'm up to, but it makes me feel really uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell the family, though. I was worried that they would think I was accusing their baby of trying to spy on me changing. So I just took matters into my own hands and hung a blanket up over my window. Another issue has been when we stay at the kids' grandparents' house. There is a room for the parents with a bed for one child and a room I thought we'd split up the boys and girls and I'd stay with the daughter, but when night came around, Dario crawled into bed next to me. I was really uncomfortable and couldn't sleep. I've talked to my friends about this and they all think it's weird. We're not related and he's a teenager now. This is an American opinion, so I can't say for sure if we're imposing our ideas on this family. If this is a cultural thing, I don't know how to tell the family. Where I am from, it's kind of inappropriate for a boy his age to I'm talking about the fact that he's been sleeping next to me, especially when he's been spying on me lately without causing any issues. I want to tell him to grow up. What I need help with is knowing whether he needs to grow up or if all this behavior is normal here. I feel like I'm the crazy American that needs to adjust. Is this behavior normal for a 12-year-old or is it immature? It seems like the parents still really see him as a young child. He usually acts like it, but he often plays up the baby act because he knows it makes his parents cater to him more. If this is abnormal, does anyone have any suggestions about how to bring this up to the family? Edit, just to clarify, at the grandparents' house there are 2 beds. Dario wasn't in my bed, he was in the bed next to mine. Some people think it's freaky, but it's normal behavior for a spoiled 13-year-old. As a nanny, you have the authority to scold him. I'm Spanish, and our culture is very similar to Italy's. That behavior is inappropriate. The parents are raising a child who will grow up to be difficult and selfish. It's good to know that this behavior is not normal. It's not normal, is it? I haven't felt like I have much authority because the parents are always there when I scold him. How can I reprimand him in front of his own parents? I didn't include this in the post, but he is already showing major signs of being an asshole. He's rude, critical, and ungrateful. Every meal I make, he has something to complain about. He treats his little sister like dirt, even though she's a doll and often acts more mature than him. He also loves ordering me around and telling me what I'm doing wrong. It drives me crazy. B186, we've established that the kid's behavior is pretty strange. I don't know if I'd have responded to your request for privacy in the same way. I'm not sure if it's appropriate to give the child the curtains. I'm not sure what to do. The parents have been really weird about some stuff. I don't know if I should tell you this, but the mum knew I was on my period because I had to ask her where to buy tampons here. We get to the house and there's no trash can in the bathroom or in my room. I asked for one multiple times and she said she would get one but never did. When I asked her last, she said, "Well, the kids have a trash can in their room if you need it." I was like, "Come on, you're an adult woman. You should know how this works. It's been about 3 to 4 months since I last updated you." To give you the short version, I quit. I asked the curtain guy to come and hang them in my room. He did come back once and hung more curtains in the kids' room, but not in mine. Then I was told that they didn't like him and would be finding another curtain guy to hang my curtains. It's been 4 months and I've not heard anything more about it. I still use the blanket. I've simply refused to go on vacation with them. I'm off on weekends, and I've reached a point where I just refuse to be home for the entire weekend. If I can help it, I go on weekend trips, crash on couches, and sneak into my room when they're eating. Things like that. Just to avoid seeing anyone on my days off. The Dario issue. Dario still acts immaturely. I've warmed up to him a lot. And I've figured out how to deal with his rudeness and such. He's become a lot more positive and kind. Especially since his mum has been away a lot. And I'm with him every day and I'm very upbeat. I've worked really hard to get him to socialize and speak kindly. Unfortunately, he seems to have almost regressed in terms of childish behavior. He still sits on laps, kisses a lot and sleeps with a parent when the other is gone. He also talks in baby talk all the time. He loves to repeat words back butchered syllables. For example, his dad will say "pasami on kuki ayo," which means "pass me a spoon." He will clap and exclaim "ayo," which means "do you want water?" He also has started eating kind of like a baby. He'll take the remaining tomato sauce and eat it with a giant spoon, getting it all over his face. We used it on pasta and used the giant spoon to drink it out of the pot and get it all over his face. Then he sucked on each of his fingers. But when I look at his parents, they're looking at him like you see a cute baby trying to use a fork and getting food on his face, but he's 13. It's honestly a bit sickening. It's so frustrating to watch and listen to him. He won't lock the door when he goes to the bathroom or showers. I started locking the door when I was about 7, and he even cried the other day when his sister sat on the foot of his bed. He doesn't like things touching his bed. Can you believe the parents got mad at the daughter and said it was her fault for baiting him? She just had to tie her shoe for a second and declared. She also says it's her fault. Dario is upset all night. He hasn't made any progress with friends. He's taken to playing League of Legends. He won't leave his room or do any activities or lessons with me or the sister. It's pretty sad, honestly. The hardest part of this whole thing has been the mother. I won't even go into it here. She's honestly clinically insane. I feel so bad. For all of you who have to put up with her, she's just a woman who's hungry for power and jealous and bitter. She needs to see a professional. I went home for Christmas to be with my friends and family and realized how bad this experience was for my health. I was going out drinking almost every night to escape the house. I was sleeping horribly because I knew she was here and her presence it gave me awful anxiety. I was getting yelled at every day, even when I did nothing wrong. I was at home in these states, and the thought of going back made me miserable. So when I came back, I told them I needed to go back early for medical reasons, which was true. I'm set to leave the last week of March. They found a new girl. Look out for her post here sometime in the future.